Hello and welcome back to our 10th episode of our Star Wars show here, the Rule of Two on the C Cinema Reviews channel. As always, I am your host, Jared. I'm back again, and with me...
Look who's back. Hi. Back again.
I hate that song.
Should I do Back in Black?
No.
I don't even know the tunes of those songs, but I just sing them the same way.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, as you could guess, it's a Star Wars show, so we just talk things happen in Star Wars. Sometimes there are new things that happen in Star Wars, sometimes we're revisiting something from the old extended universe, because sometimes they might be better than what's happening now. You never know. But today we're only going to have 2 topics. We usually have 3.
Thus.
So we're going to do kind of our review of the Hand of Thrawn duology. I'll probably do my own dedicated review of that sometime here in the near future. And then we have a rumor, a very spicy rumor for episode 9.
Rumor has it.
So we won't spoil the rumor.
What?
We're not going to spoil it here, like right now.
Oh, right.
I mean, when we get to the topic, we're going to talk about it, but stay tuned for that, or skip ahead.
We're just going to vaguely go
skip
around.
ahead. But if you've listened to one of our episodes before, thank you for coming back to see what we think about these 2 topics. And if you're brand new, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you enjoy this. And we do have 9 other episodes of this, so if you want to check that out, it'll be in a playlist on the C Cinema Reviews channel.
I don't,
so definitely
that's old news.
Yeah, true. But still, hey.
But if you're obsessive,
yeah,
go ahead.
Definitely. If you like, the only reason I put like numbers in there is so that people will know that we've been doing this for some amount of time.
Right. No, I like it because it's like the episodes.
Credibility, you know.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like we're credible, but anyways, let's just get into it before we totally dismantle our show here. The Hand of Thrawn duology, if you don't know what this is, Timothy Zahn, who wrote the Thrawn novel that came out last year, and who also is writing the Thrawn Alliances novel that comes out in June of this year, he wrote, for Star Wars back in the 90s, he wrote a trilogy for Star Wars, Heir to the Empire, I forget what the second one was, it was like the Dark Force Rising. Hey, schmo down that. And the third one, The Last Command. Those were amazing. Were when Thrawn was alive, and
he just made all those.
Yeah, and no, and then at the end of The Last Command, spoiler alert, very much spoiler alert, Thrawn dies, and so this Hand of Thrawn duology is Thrawn had a contingency plan for when he died. And this duology of books, these 2 books, they really should be one long book because the first one ends on a cliffhanger and the second one is very dependent on the first one. So these 2 books are Thrawn's contingency plan for if he were to die. Mm-hmm. Overall thoughts on both books. I know we finished the second one just recently, but your thoughts on both books and the story, the big story that happens over these 2 books?
I thought it was good. Just good, though. It wasn't better than his previous books.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's better than his current books, but it was good. He's so in tune with the universe of Star Wars, so he writes the characters great, and the stories there are a couple things that I don't like about the stories, but right, you know, to each his own. That's what he likes to write about, he can go for it. And so yeah, I liked it. It was a good read. And you?
Oh yeah, okay, so like I'm gonna spoil. We're gonna spoil this because it is a review. It is a spoiler review. If you don't want to be, if you really genuinely care about these 2 books and spoilers
that are not part of canon.
You're literally like 20 years late, okay? So calm down. Calm down. Or pause the video and go read them for yourselves. But with that being said, we're going to spoil this. So Thrawn's whole contingency plan for if he died was he had this base, and I forget the planet because it was kind of forgettable. He had this base on a planet where he had made himself a little compound, and it housed like all the information that the Empire had. He like just got
or
all
that he had.
Well, I tend to believe it's all the information that the whole Empire had.
Right.
And so he got all this information because when you get down to it, Thrawn is all about information. Like, he is super smart, but for the reason that he tended to win was because he had most of the information.
And he used it.
Yeah, and he used it correctly. So this base had all of his information. It had some of Thrawn's hand-picked people running this base, and also it had some Chiss people, which when we meet the new Chiss people, it's like, okay, yeah, they're not exactly like Thrawn, but they're close enough. They're close. They're a very intelligent race.
Mm-hmm.
So his plan was that he had a cloning facility. He had one cloning apparatus under this facility, and he had it on a 10-year cycle. So what he would do is, back when Thrawn was alive...
Well, this is what they speculated in the book, Mara and Luke, who go to this planet.
So their speculation is, when he was alive, he would go to this base periodically and reset the timer. So how he had it set up was, after 10 years of that timer not being reset, his clone would awake.
Right.
And so...
Because I was going to ask you about that, because I had this weird image of, like, him, like, 10 years, he goes there, the clone is, like, old already, and then he turns it back and he goes into a baby again.
No, yeah, it keeps him like, it's kind of like freezing him, like what they do to Bucky Barnes.
So
yeah, that's how I imagine it.
He made a clone, and that was his contingency plan.
And so he told the people in the base that once I die, wait 10 years and I will return. Right. And so that was his plan. And this clone apparently, like, he was gonna be in theory, the clone should be exactly like the original, which would have been scary for everybody. Right. So that was his plan. And all throughout the book, we pretty much at the beginning of the book, we have the inciting incident where someone hears about the Hand of Thrawn. Also, there is some stuff with the Bothans, and the big like foil for the Republic is that it was found out that some Bothans had helped the Empire destroy Ka'mas.
So this whole thing for all of our characters except for Luke and Mara, this whole thing is about finding the Ka'mas document that will tell them which Bothan families or people were involved in the genocide of the Ka'mas people.
Yeah, we're helping.
So everyone is looking for this document, and when I say everyone, I really mean
literally everyone.
Like the Empire, the Republic,
smugglers,
Leia, Han, not Chewie. Except for Chewie, everyone is looking for...
Chewie's just...
Except for Chewie, Luke, and Mara.
Yeah.
No, he's not even in most of it. Well, the second one.
He's in the second one for a bit.
No.
For a bit.
No, what does he do?
A bit.
You don't even know. You can't remember. No, he's taking care of the kids on Kashyyyk.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
They talk about him, but he's not like out there helping.
But that's a big job for Chewie.
Yeah,
I mean,
they don't
taking care of Jason, Jaina, and Anakin solo?
Oh, please.
That's a big job.
The Wookiees are like
What, babysitters?
No,
Chewie's a glorified babysitter in these books.
If someone came to like take them away or something.
Oh, the Wookiees are like the
Wookiees
best.
Like, they're not savages, they are savage. I like to describe them as that because they were like the most like amazing fighters.
Yeah, they beat the droids.
Right. Exactly. Got Yoda out of there.
Yeah.
But anyway, so let's talk about these characters. Let's start with General Bellybus. That's what I like to call him. He doesn't do a lot. His name is General Bellybus. Yeah. No, he doesn't do a lot, and his plan basically fails until Card comes.
Talon Card comes.
But that's gonna jumping to the end.
Yeah. So let me talk about this whole fake Thrawn stuff, because this stuff was very interesting to me.
Really?
I like clones. So what happened is you have this guy, Moff Disra, who is like a really...
Oh, that Thrawn. Sorry, I thought you meant the...
The clone?
Yeah.
No.
Go ahead.
Moff Disra, who's like this really squealy Moff in the Empire, the new Empire that's literally like disintegrating. Like, if you remember from the Thrawn trilogy and one episode, the last episode of Rebels... Pelion. He's now like the Grand Admiral, leader of the Empire, and everything.
Supreme leader.
Yeah, pretty much. That dude wants peace.
Yeah.
Moff Disra does not want peace.
He's going around to all the Moffs and basically saying, guys, let's have peace.
Yeah, let's just...
Because we can't win this war.
Yeah, because the Republic... At this point, like, the Republic is more irritated at the Empire.
Right, they're not going after them.
Yeah, because the Empire's like, they've stopped fighting back.
Yeah.
And so, Pelion wants peace. Disra does not want peace. So what does he do? He goes and he gets himself a con man, puts that dude in like blue makeup. No, probably like pigmented skin. Anyway, it's the same thing. It's like permanent makeup. He does a Michael Jackson to this guy.
I think they do... What?
Michael Jackson's this guy, changing the color of his skin.
I think they do say it's makeup at one point.
Yeah. And then this dude's name is Flim, which is kind of funny. I found it funny every time they used his name. Yeah. And he just made him blue. He was a good con man, so he could do the Thrawn voice. And he had like inserts in his eyes, like contacts basically, to make his eyes glowing and red. And then he found one of Palpatine's royal guard, who was apparently like really good, really smart. And so Flim was going to be Thrawn, which the reason that they did this was Disra understood that the Empire needed someone to get behind, someone to believe in. Because 10 years before this book takes place after 10 years after the events of the third book of Thrawn. 10 years before, Thrawn had literally came so close to beating the rebellion. He was he was on a war path, and he was just taking everybody out. And so for Thrawn to come back, Disra understood that the Empire, if they saw Thrawn come back, they would totally get behind him, and they would understand and could have a way better chance of winning another war against the Republic than they would peace, because he just didn't want peace.
Right. So through Thrawn, he was basically trying to restore a hope in the Empire that they could come back, which
makes sense.
Yeah.
When you think about it makes sense. Like the rebellion was built on hope. Now the Empire was going to be built on hope.
Right.
And the tactical genius behind this whole thing was going to be this guy Major Tierce, who was Palpatine's royal guard, who we find out at the very end of these two books is actually a clone that Thrawn made, in which Thrawn imparted some of his own psyche into him. So that's why he was so tactically gifted.
Right. I hate clones.
I know that's one thing about Timothy Zahn. I've read 5 of his books that are no longer canon, and dude likes himself some clones. He had a clone of a Jedi. He had a clone of Luke. He had regular clones. Now he has a clone of Thrawn. He had a clone of like a clone that was Tears, who had Thrawn in, like a bit of Thrawn in him. Dude likes clones.
Yeah.
I'm glad. It's clones. I think that he used them very differently in these two books than he did in the previous two. There were still there were still clones, like regular old clones. They actually helped out the Republic though this time.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Because they didn't want to.
But like some of them got blown up, which I was like,
I don't remember.
Wow! At the very end, when he's like, "Make sure our families get safe solo."
Oh right.
Yeah, it wasn't heartbreaking, but it was like, way to go, man, way to go.
So this whole time, like, most of our characters are looking for this Kamos document while also learning that Thrawn has come back.
Yeah.
Fake Thrawn.
But they were convinced.
Yeah, really. Both Lando and Han got to meet this fake Thrawn.
Yeah. And that's something that makes Timothy Zahn, like, it makes me realize how smart he is, because it's like, of course Thrawn, like, Han and Lando and the main people wouldn't believe it. So what does he do? He has the bad guys, like, just show up, or just catch Han and Lando, and then they have Thrawn talk to them to, like, convince them that he's really Thrawn, and then they just let him go to, spread the word.
Yeah. In the second book, we kind of, I can't remember in the first book, but in the second book we get to see more of Leia's Force abilities.
Yes.
When she sort of takes over a ship and is
dude,
like pushing guys out of the way.
She's doing force pushes. She's using her lightsaber. She is ready, man.
And I really like it.
Yeah, and it speaks truth to what George Lucas himself wanted to do with the sequel trilogy, when he was going to make it, how he was going to have it about Luke training Leia.
Right.
And that would have, like, Timothy Zahn took from that, inspiration from that.
Right.
And it made sense. Like, you have a sibling of yours who also has the Force. Why wouldn't you want to train them?
Mm-hmm. And it's really good to have that trio together.
Yes.
Together again.
Luke, Han, and Leia.
Because they just work so well.
And Lando as well.
Well, I wasn't going to say Luke. I meant Han, Lando, and Leia. Because they were together in Empire. So
very much. Yeah.
But they just work so well together. Definitely. What do you think about we get to see the return of Talon Card and sort of the new person Shada, who becomes like bodyguard at the end?
Yeah, she's pretty cool. Like, Timothy Zahn definitely took from the original trilogy, and that he introduced more strong female characters. Like in the Thrawn trilogy, he introduced Mara, who was really cool, a strong female character who could hold her own, who was her own person, not, controlled or tied down by anybody. And in this one, you got Shada, who is a strong person who, in the beginning, it seems like she made a mistake, but in the end, it ended up being the right thing.
Right. And I really like Talon Card.
Talon Card's so cool.
And Georges Cardas.
They have the Godfather in this, which definitely not a bad thing. Timothy Zahn watches himself some movies.
He's like one of those guys where when you read about him, he's kind of like Lando and Han. They're very like suave guys, never afraid of anything. But when Georges Cardas is sort of talked about, he is afraid.
He's afraid of him
because go ahead.
No, I've talked too much. You go ahead.
Okay. Well, basically, Talon Card's organization was created by this man, Georges Cardas, otherwise known as the Godfather. And when Georges Cardas disappeared, Talon Card took over without permission, just took over.
Yeah.
And he was very afraid that this man, Georges, was, and I'm not making fun of his name. They literally call him Georges.
We audibled this book, so we say it like the Mark Thompson, who does an amazing job.
So basically he's just afraid that Georges will be angry with him.
Because he took over his empire.
Exactly, and he thinks that certain times when people were trying to take over that organization from Card believes that was Georges trying to get back, but then it ends up being this whole twist.
It's just a misunderstanding, and that's something that like happens all the time. You think that someone's angry at you, like, well, sometimes you could be like, oh, this person seems like they're angry at me, because you might have you did something to try to help them, but maybe it didn't help them so much, and it's like, oh, they're angry at me, and then you like you like, hey, are you angry at me? And it's like, no, you did the right thing.
Timothy Zahn does a great job of building up this George Cardas character before we see him. So when you see him...
And he does a Yoda thing.
He is like this cripple, frail, kind of like...
Yeah, he's messed up in the head. Sleeping in a bed.
And it's like this whole thing, but then they leave and come back, and he's this whole other person.
Oh, he's like,
He's like... in touch with the Force, and
of course
he's going through all of these things, but he's perfect in the mind, and it's this, they do like a double switcheroo.
It's the Yoda thing. You first see them, he's something that you don't expect, and then when you do get that person that you're expecting, you're like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, but he's totally fine with, he actually thanks Card for taking over the organization because, and also something that's cool about this character, George, is that he had an experience with Yoda.
Oh, yeah. Apparently Yoda had a big time battle with some false Jedi guy on Dagobah. I mean, the way they describe it, there was lightning flying, like it took days. The fight took days. Like, I wouldn't see that, Yeah. Put that in a comic book. Don't,
Yeah.
Don't give me Chewbacca.
So, I mean, those parts were really cool and very interesting, and definitely worth reading the book.
But let's get down to the real nitty gritty.
What do you think? Yeah,
story. Mara, Luke and Mara, they get engaged at the end of this book, which, in my opinion, happens a little quickly, but you realize it was like they've known each other for like over a decade now, so it's fine.
It's not that it was quick. It's just that it was like
sudden.
No.
To me,
it was sudden, but I just didn't like the way that it was done.
He proposed.
Yeah.
He didn't get down on one knee.
I'm pretty sure they were like swimming in water.
They were gonna die, and he was like, "Hey, if we get out of this, I'll put a ring on it."
No, she said, if we get out of this, and he was like, either way. So he was totally committed.
Yeah, he was.
But the way that they describe it at the very end, it's like a business deal. He says like, I'm getting more out of this than you are.
Well,
and
but
it's like,
that makes sense.
Dude, talk about love or something.
But Luke's not one to be the Lando smooth talk.
And she's not either. So.
Yeah.
But I still like them as a couple.
But do you dig it? Like,
yes.
I dig it so much.
Yeah, they're so like.
The relationship is such a different love relationship than any that we've seen in Star Wars.
Right. It's
because it's two people who have been around the block.
Yeah.
Like a few times. Like Luke has maybe gone to the dark side once.
Yeah.
Maybe. We don't know. It's not confirmed. They allude
to that in this.
And then Mara's like, dude, you might have gone to the dark side. She tried training at his academy on Yavin 4 for a bit.
But
didn't
then
work
he ignored
out.
Her.
Ooh.
But their whole journey in this is...
He played hard to get. That's what happened.
No. He... Like, their whole journey is kind of weird because there's this, like, walls between them both. And then, like, she goes off on him and he goes off on her. And there's this back and forth. And then one of the Quamja or Quamjay, whatever.
Quamja.
They're called.
Little bird people. I hate it every time they talk. That squawk. Ah! Hated it.
The little one basically put it in Luke's mind that she was his beloved or something.
I don't think he did. I think the little one, I think it was always in Luke's mind, but I think the little one was like,
pulled it out.
You know, it's like when it's so obvious but you don't see it, it's like, duh.
Basically, how does Mara get, she basically like crashes or goes into this planet to see who's there, what's happening.
To check out maybe finding the Hand of Thrawn or something like that.
Yeah, and then she gets sort of beat up by herself or something.
Yeah, she headbutts a wall.
And Luke is the one to go and save her or try and get her out or something. And yeah, they just go on this sort of journey, and they ended up finding the hand of Thrawn.
What do you think about that reveal?
I didn't feel a reveal.
Oh, I did, because when she's like, look at the 4 towers, and then the 5th one that's right in the middle, it's the hand of Thrawn. It was like, so the hand of Thrawn is not a person. It is not a weapon. The hand of Thrawn is this base of information. Yeah, this base filled with the information, and it makes total sense when you think about Thrawn and that character, how and at the bottom of that base is a clone of Thrawn.
Right.
So it the entire structure of that thing, how it resembled a hand with 4 towers reaching out to the sky, to the stars, once the clone was born or awakened, that he would just ascend and start taking the galaxy.
At the end of this, once it's coming all together, everybody who goes after the Kalmas document, coming back to that, because that's the major thing of the Republic, Talon Card is going after it, Han and Lando go after it, Leia, does she go after it? I'm pretty sure she does. Everybody basically does. The Empire's going after it, so many people are going after it, and in the end, it's Luke and Mara that find it, and I really like that.
That's cool.
Because they're the ones that had no idea.
I thought Talon Card was going to get it from George Cardass, but...
Me too, but then he ended up getting something else.
Something better. The whole record of Major Tears, and that's how we learned how he was a clone, and also Flim.
So,
but that dude turned on a whim. He had no allegiance to Disra and Tears.
No.
He was talking like Thrawn 1 minute, and the next minute he was like, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah. So, I mean, I like that Timothy Zahn did this whole switcheroo with someone's gonna get it, it's just not the person you think, because every time someone would get close, there would be oh, they didn't get it, or oh, this is faked, or whatever.
Right.
So at the very end, it was really cool.
Yeah, very, very cool. I think that's going to do it for our Hand of Thrawn duology. I know we took a lot of time on that. We just have our second thing, which is a doozy. The rumor for Star Wars Episode 9. Now, we might go over time, but hey, I set the time as far as what we're going to go, and I say we're not going over time. So click away if you don't want to hear about rumors. But there's a rumor for Episode 9, and I couldn't have planned this any better.
No.
I couldn't have planned this. This couldn't have been scripted any better. If this was WWE, this is how it would go. So there's a rumor for Episode 9 that they are casting, and they're having a casting call for a female, aged maybe 40 to 50, and the code name for the character that they are casting, according to a quote-unquote very reputable source, which we all know that could be a lie. But according to this people, I think it's that hashtag show is who broke this. But the rumor is that the code name for this character is Mara.
That fills me with so much joy.
Oh my goodness. It's dude.
And I hope it's not I hope it doesn't end up being some Laura Dern character.
Right. That's exactly
I want
what
it to
I
be
thought.
Mara. That's what I want.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'm really happy about it.
It'd be a nice reveal. It'd be a nice reveal because and it doesn't. The thing about it is, it doesn't have to be Luke's honey boo boo. She could still be Rey's parent.
Ex honey.
No.
What?
Rey's parent.
No.
But not be Luke's waifu.
Mm-mm.
I think so.
I don't want her to be anything
because
to Rey.
We had that whole thing that J.J. Abrams thought was Rey's parents is not who Rian Johnson thought is Rey's parents. And Rey's parents, Rey's parents are still a mystery. Kylo Ren could definitely have lied.
Okay, first of all, if this is true, I need her to have red hair.
Oh,
That's
course.
a given.
Yeah.
And Rey does not have red hair, therefore Rey cannot be her daughter. And that's the only argument I have for that point. But no, I don't. Rey.
Okay, how about? Okay, no, go
Rey
ahead,
is
go
something
ahead.
else.
Go ahead.
If we have, sorry, I just hit that. I got too excited. If we have Mara, and she is the waifu of
I think you would have mentioned it.
Luke. No.
Yeah.
That's his business. Maybe they parted on bad
To
terms.
Chewie? He wouldn't have
Chewie?
mentioned it to Chewie.
Go find my wife.
Yeah.
What do you mean? No, but what if Chewie knows? And that girl was like, we're
no.
keeping our what if they parted on bad terms?
I don't think.
But if they are if they were something, is there a possibility of children?
Of course.
I really want children for Luke.
There's
Maybe just
there
one.
is the possibility of Luke having children because maybe he had the kids and they weren't old enough to go with him to the Jedi Temple, or they weren't old enough to go with him off to wherever he was training Kylo Ren. And that's a possibility because it's very much like we're seeing right now in Last Shot, how Han goes, Han has to go on this mission and he can't take the kids.
Right.
And so the kids stayed
Sorry.
with Leia. So maybe their kid or kids had to stay with Mara. And then when Kylo Ren breaks out and does all this stuff, wouldn't you think that Luke would be like, "Hey, you guys," to Leia and to if Mara is his wife, to Leia and to Mara, and be like, "Hey, if I were you, I would hide."
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because you see in that scene in episode 8, there are dead kids.
Right.
Yeah,
They're just laying all over the place.
Yeah.
And at least half of them went with him.
I'm gonna totally temper my expectations because I don't think this is Mara Jade. I think this is just a code name. But the speculation, you guys, if you're watching this and you're totally like me, it's like, no, this is probably not Mara. I understand. It's probably not Mara Jade. But give me this opportunity to speculate. Speculating is half the fun when you're having a big movie like this with such secrecy.
Yeah. Right.
Absolutely. Hashtag jacket speculation. Anybody remember that? That was so much fun. It was so much fun to see that, to wonder, where is Luke? What are they going to do with Luke? It was so much fun.
Ignite
It is
the green.
still so much fun to see what's going to happen. For me, not as much in episode 9 because Ignite the Green was the greatest thing that could have ever happened, in my opinion. Igniting the Green would have been perfect.
Yes.
It would have ascended above every other movie, even above Citizen Kane as the best movie ever. If Ignite the Green happened. But since we're not getting that, I understand and I want to speculate because, dude, there's a rumor about Mara. There's a rumor about Mara.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's.
I will also. I'm not gonna bet on this happening.
Right.
Because it probably won't. But
it'll probably be another Amelin Haldo type.
Yeah.
Although we don't have any more Amelin Haldo types.
But it's nice to think about.
Yeah. Totally.
So.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, we do. One thing that I was going to mention was that we do know that there was somebody, at least one other person, visited Luke on Ahch-To.
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 2.
We do know that. That could be Mara.
Or his child.
That could be Mara.
Or his child.
I don't want his child. I'd rather have Mara than his child.
Okay. I can deal with that.
Yeah.
Or his child.
I'm not like if we have Jason Solo or Jason Skywalker.
No.
Like I wouldn't be if Jason here's the two opportunities I'm gonna give you. You got Jason Skywalker who comes in out of nowhere and is like, I'm here, guys. I got a green lightsaber. Like I went to Octo, got my dad's lightsaber from those caretakers. I am here. Rey, you're not as good as Kylo Ren. I got this. Or you can have Mara Jade come in there.
That's so random. Why would you say that? I'm here.
Because
you're not as good, so let me handle this.
Because let's just be honest. Rey's not as good as Kylo Ren.
No, not in the fighting part. Maybe in the Force.
No.
But
I don't think so.
Anyway.
Another debate for another day.
Yes, we're not going to talk about that. But it would be very exciting to have another character who I feel like is from our original.
To me, it would be more
peoples.
Like my thoughts on it would be more in line with when we see episode 7 and Mark Hamill says, I thought that was me gonna have that blue lightsaber that it was gonna go to.
Yeah.
It would be like that where it's like the reveal is so out of nowhere because you'd never see like Luke come down with his X-Wing or anything. You never see that. It would be so out of nowhere, but yet if they're like if somehow they could build up that same reveal, instead though have the person come out with a purple lightsaber and be a woman, would not that would
a purple lightsaber?
Because Mara's her first one is purple.
Right.
To me, that would ascend this movie up so much too.
Yeah.
I literally at this point just want anybody else besides the two main characters to ignite a light. Anybody else I know.
Somebody else ignite.
If they recasted Leia and she pulled out a lightsaber, ascend the movie. Like this movie would go. I would just love it so much.
Yeah. That would be hard to get over though.
Yeah.
It's
definitely. If they recast Meryl Streep and she pulls out a purple lightsaber, I will,
If they recast Meryl Streep.
I would. I mean, recast Leia.
Princess Leia as Meryl Streep.
With Meryl Streep.
Meryl.
Yeah,
Meryl.
I would totally go bananas.
The street monster. That would be so awesome. But it's never gonna happen.
Yeah. She could do it though. Like, if there's anybody who could play Leia,
of course. It's
other than
monster.
Carrie Fisher, it's the street monster. I think that's gonna do it for us today. I mean, it's been a long episode. I'm sorry. We literally only had 2 topics, but one of them was two full 400-page books. So forgive us for talking a lot about that for a long time. It's just that books are longer than movies. Books are longer than comic books. They take time, and there's a lot of stuff that happens in them. Detail. Lot of stuff. A lot of good stuff. If you've never read them and you would like to, dude, Timothy Zahn is really, really good at... He's really, really good at making the characters you love. And this is something that I have found and that I love so much. I enjoy the Thrawn trilogy more than I do the duology. But there's one thing that Timothy Zahn gets other than Thrawn is he gets the original trilogy characters.
Mm-hmm.
He gets Han, Luke, Lando, Leia, and Chewie, and he gets them like nobody else but George Lucas gets them. Maybe Lawrence Kasdan gets them that much too, but and maybe Claudia Gray, but if Timothy Zahn just gets the characters.
Yeah. Which is hard to do. That's why there's not a lot of names.
Go pick them up. I bet you you could find the Thrawn trilogy cheap at a bookstore or something like that. I would say pick them up.
Audible?
On Audible, no. On Audible, their prices stays in. There's $30. Unless you have a membership, then it's $14-15. But I would still say if you like Star Wars, if you like the original trilogy characters, pick up one of the books. Literally all of them have all of those characters in them, so I don't think you can go wrong. But I would go with the first trilogy. The Hand of the Thrawn duology is not bad though too.
Yeah.
Yep. And tell us what you think. Who you think Mara will be? What kind of character will she be? This codename Mara for episode 9. Tell us your thoughts in the comment section down below. All the speculation down there. And we have a Facebook page. It's facebook.com/CCinemaReviews. That link will be in the description. We have we're on Twitter @CCinemaReviews, and that link will be in the description too. Not that anybody has ever tweeted me. It'd be nice though. It might be the first one. Yay.
Whoop-de-doo.
Okay, well, with that being said, we hope you have a good one, and may the force be with you.
Always.